Welcome to Something to Talk About.
Hi, welcome, and surprise. Yes, I am on vacation. That's why I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt, but I figured I should do one of these, so it's not going to get even harder. So let's do a update for the Song of Ice and Fire character tournament. This is the finish of round 3, which is all of the semifinals for all of the 8 brackets. So, yeah. Are you as excited as I am? I'm pretty freaking excited. So yeah, I know I'm supposed to be on vacation. I'm taking a break from the channel. Behind the scenes, my break started before you guys knew I was on a break, and I took a couple weeks off. I'm starting to get ready for my comeback on July 1st, and I need to start filming vids so they're ready when I come back at the beginning of July. And I don't want to do the biggest tournament update because these are really, they are very involved. So I don't want to do the biggest one ever when I come back. So we're just going to do one now. Cover all round 3, which is only 16 matches, but yeah. Hi, I hope you know what's going on here. I run a Song of Ice and Fire tournament on my channel. And we've been going through a very, very large tournament, and we're getting there. Just finished off round 3, so yeah. I went and got a new computer. It probably doesn't look like it. My connection's still not very good. I live in the middle of nowhere, but I got a really good computer now, and I can now read off a second screen. I have 2 screens. You guys know that I've been running this channel for the last 3 years off of a laptop, and not even a good-looking one, like pretty broken down. It's like the Lappy from Homestar Runner. All right, so we got to get through Rebels, so let's start up. So yeah, our 2 matches here were Daemon Blackfyre versus Lionel Baratheon, and then Robert Baratheon versus Daegon Greyjoy. And starting off with Daemon Blackfyre versus Lionel the Laughing Storm Baratheon, 58-42. Pretty close. It could have gone any way. Could have gone either way. So looking at the comments here, what is your name? Right away, I don't know somebody's name. Jules Rodriguez just said the Black Dragon. Not the faction in Mortal Kombat, but the character. Right? Okay. So then should have these names ready. Bartleby Scrivener. Nice name. Bartleby Scrivener said, a reminder that Dunk beat the Laughing Storm in a trial by combat. So while I acknowledge that he probably was the best turning knight, I think there is an argument made here for Daemon. Knighted before he could grow facial hair, defeated a Corbray in a duel, yeah, very underrated, and finally could only be killed by a volley of arrows. I'm giving Daemon my vote. I think those are very good reasons to give Daemon Blackfyre a vote. I completely, sorry, I had to move my mic. I completely agree. And then, what's your name? Anthropomorphic something? Oh, just... Anthropis Metron. All right. Okay. Said no, and I got rid of it. Oh my God. Give me a second here. Come back. All right. I'm back. Okay. So Anthropos Metron said, checked the wiki. Okay, so basically old testimony about a good warrior, about how good of a warrior Daemon comes from Eustace Osgrey, who is a Blackfyre supporter with a massive man crush on Daemon. Voted Lionel. That is so valid. So I'm not gonna get into it right now. I know the Daemon Blackfyre supporters in my community are really, really strong. I'm not gonna talk crap. I'm okay with Daemon winning this. I 100% am. That's not what I'm doing here. But whenever people are like, he was the warrior personified, check your sources, because your source is Eustace Osgrey. Okay, and not exactly a maester, and not exactly non-biased. So I'm glad somebody brought that up. Yeah, and here you go. Lazy Boy just said, King Daemon was the warrior himself with a Blackfyre in his hand. It will be the Black Dragon laughing at the end of this fight. He said it in a really cool way. And no, you're not wrong for voting that. You can vote for that. You can vote for whatever you want. But I do like that Anthropus Metron said, y'all are quoting Eustace Oscar. You know that, right? And then Cannon Fire said, just ask Rhaegar how that would turn out. Of course, Lionel didn't kill Rhaegar. Robert did, but yeah, I get what you're saying. Targaryen versus Baratheon is a really fun fight. And it's about to happen again because Daemon won. So yeah. So the Punisher said they're both beautiful men and shouldn't fight during Pride Month. They should kiss and make out. Good point. That's freaking hilarious. And then, of course, Aegor Bittersteel himself jumped into the comments and said, outrageous King Daemon Blackfyre all the way. He did end up winning. Don't get your Blackfyres at a bunch there, Aegor Bittersteel. All right, so then let's move on to Robert Baratheon versus Daemon Greyjoy. I'm going to tell you guys something about this. This tournament, this round, there you go, that's the word I'm looking for. This round, for the most part, separated the people who are definitely have a good chance of winning the entire tournament and the riffraff who kind of like eked their way through an easy part of their bracket up, right? And there's a lot of those. And so that being said, there is a lot of stomps in round 3, starting with this one. So Robert Baratheon versus Daemon Greyjoy, the last Reaver. You guys are going to hear Tucker a lot. You got knocked the fuck out! Because people are getting knocked the fuck. There's a lot of Tuckers this round, more than I've ever seen in one round. There's a lot, especially once we get to monsters, is really monstrous. So yeah, Robert Baratheon, 92% to Dagon's. JC Bear, do you got a different name or are you just JC Bear? JC Bearden said, Bobby all the way. I forgot my name, said, and the crowd goes mild. Oh, wah, wah. And then Ricey said, Baratheon 316. That's good. Because Robert Baratheon just kicked your ass. Simon says Robert Baratheon just kicked your ass. The hail Demon of the Trident to win all the time. Yeah. I don't need to keep reading these. Oh, that was Carlos Otero. So yeah. I'm gonna move the mic. I hope my mic, my mic never sounds good, but I hope it's better. But since I'm like looking over here a lot, I should have it closer over here. Rebel Lord Terran said, damn it, as much as I would like for Daemon Greyjoy to win this, I have to go with what is right, and that would be Robert Baratheon. Yeah, Daemon had no chance. I'm really happy he made it. Let's look at who he beat. Daemon Greyjoy had to beat Robb Stark, and then Daemon Morgan, or Daemon Greyjoy had to beat Robb Stark, and then Daemon Morgan. He did pretty good. Like, you can't talk crap. Like, he made a really good run, but you ran into Robert Baratheon. What are you going to do? So, yeah, this is what the finals look like now. So, the finals of the Rebels bracket, which is actually going on today, you can go vote on it right now. I posted that this morning. Is Daemon versus Robert, which actually a rematch from last year. And I'm not going to tell you how it happened last year if you guys don't remember, but it ain't happening the same right now. It's going different, which is really interesting. All right, let's get into the legends. Gerald Hightower versus Aemon the Dragonite, and then Visenya Targaryen versus Cregan. And yeah, starting right off, Gerald the White Bull Hightower got beat 88% for Aemon to 12% for him. And I think for the most part, I'm in agreement with a lot of people. And I think I'm about to read it a couple times here, but Gerald had a better run than I ever thought he would. He beat Ryan Redwine, which I think is still bogus. It's one of the round 1 matches that like made me like, what are we doing here? And he made a pretty good run. So Baylor Blakespear said, how is Hightower fighting Barristan and Aemon in the same round? Costume change. Because Cord Halfhand is going against Barristan later, so it's Gerald the White Bull being Cord Halfhand joke. And then Jules Rodriguez said, the Dragonite. That's it. Hawk McBride said, W. Gerald, he did well this year. Yeah, for real. Irish Potato Thief just said, I love democracy, which is pretty good. Efren T said it was a good run for the White Bull. It absolutely was. And then here we got some long ones here. Kevin Nutzling said, finally, Gerald's probably undeserved streak of victories ends. He was a good fighter and commanded forces in the Stepstones after the previous commander's death. But in the end, it wasn't much of a legendary. He wasn't much of a legend, especially when he's held next to Arthur or Barristan, who's in the same Kingsguard, and then later Jaime. I added that part. Aemon was probably Dark Sister's most skilled warrior. Very true, most likely, yep. And also held a high war command fighting in Dorne, and he was a legendary in tourneys and duels. Aemon was a Kingsguard knight who many others aspire to be centuries after his death. Yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself, Kevin Nutzling. You kind of nailed that. So up next is Visenya versus Cregan. And I'm just happy Visenya made it that far. I didn't think she would, and I was pretty happy. I'm okay with the turnout of this one. I'm getting to it right now here. But, yeah. Visenya lost against Cregan Stark, 34% to his 66%. Where is it? Right here. I thought I clicked it already. And then, David Von Ben Bosch, also it just says Paint Kratos, said Visenya may be more skilled, but she's punching above her weight. And I think what you're meaning there is you're fighting somebody much bigger. And you might be more skilled, but sometimes that size really doesn't matter. Rebel Lord Terran just says Cregan. I don't know what that means. Irish Potatoes Thief said, oh, here, there you go. I had something, I had to end something here. Irish Potato Thief said in another universe, these two would make a hella power couple. Oh, and I've been missing Shady Shyster. I shut off my I responded thing. So Shady Shyster said, today we will see a battle of ice and fire. Will Visenya be able to avenge her brother husband defeat, or will Cregan defeat another Targaryen? Yeah, because didn't Cregan beat, right? Yeah, Cregan beat Aegon the Conqueror. Oh, that's awesome. Visenya's previous matches were both very close, while Cregan's were more decisive, but not by a big margin. Yeah. Sorry, Shady Shyster. I didn't realize that I had a filter on where I wasn't getting your comments. I love your comments so much. So, yeah, for the most part, it seemed like a lot of people were ready for Visenya's run to end, and I'm just glad she made it as far as she did. I think it's really cool. She made it past some really because I couldn't believe she beat Argilac Durandon and then Savage Sam. So I mean, I thought there was a possibility she could beat Cregan just because we don't have a lot of knowledge on how good Cregan was. We only hear a couple good things like, oh, he did really good against the Dragonite, which would have been is what our next match is a rematch from the books. I have too many of those. But yeah, Gerald Hightower beat Ryan Redwine and then Ori's Baratheon, which is nuts. All right, so coming up with these guys, we got Aemon the Dragonite versus Cregan Stark. And we have a lot of book rematches. And it is what it is. It's my fault. I put these together. It's really hard to put 128 characters together and not have either book rematches or just bad fights. And I kind of did both this year. As much as I'm enjoying this, I definitely am taking lessons from this year on to next year, and hopefully next year's bracket's going to be a lot better. And no one's complaining. It's all in my head. I know I can do a better job next year, and I will. Just watch me. All right, so let's move over to the modern legends. So we're gonna start off with Barristan Zebul Selmy versus Corn Halfhand, and then Victorian Greyjoy versus Garland Tyrell. And one of these, I'm not going to tell you which one, is probably, in my opinion, the biggest upset we had. So yeah, let's get into a Tucker. Never in a million years would I think Corn Halfhand would get tuckered. Wow. All right.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Bro, I'm shocked that Corn Halfhand got a tucker. E Marty? Yep, just E Marty. What's up? Said it's probably Selmy, but I'll take the half hand to muck it up. And then Pokemon Violet said, and here we see, I had a spell conversation with, well, no, I didn't. Bob Roberts did. Here we see the bias in the premise. If terrain or wilderness survivor were involved, it would be Corn in a straight fight. It would be Barristan. And then, it was, I think Bob Roberts kind of misread it as like, are you saying that this is bias? Like, how can it being taking place in even ground be bias? And I think the point they were just trying to make is, no, it's not wrong. It's just, if the situation was only slightly different, Corn Halfhand probably would have won this. And it's probably not wrong. Probably right. And then Baylor Blackspear said, damn, Gerald Hightower lost this one too. JDS, do you got a name besides JDS? No, JDS said, Selmy gonna clean house. Yeah, I think Selmy's gonna clean house. I think this is a statement. This win was a statement win. This is you beating a fan favorite extremely decisively. I think this was a statement win, and I would be surprised if Barristan doesn't make it deep into the playoffs, if not all the way. After this, this statement win, and then try to get a name. Eric Unami said Barristan, but I think Halfhand would give him a run for his money. Oh, absolutely. It wouldn't be an easy fight. It wouldn't be the way that the bracket shit showed. Irish Potato Thief said, once again petitioning for two honorable and gifted warriors to lay down their swords and have a picnic instead. Dude, you commissioned them to make out last time. Now you're switching it. My heart can't bear this. Wasn't it Irish Potato Thief said that they should make out because it's Friday week? Now you're like, nice picnic. Is that, I think that was you. That's so funny. Hawk McBride said, if anyone at the wall can beat Barristan, it would be the half hand. Yeah. And I think that's pretty good. Lazy Boy said, how many people realistically stand against Sir Barristan? Not a lot. not a lot. All right. Let's move on. So then we got, in my opinion, this is the only real shock I had this round, and that is Victorian Greyjoy losing to Garland Tyrell. Garland beat him 56-44. Wow, color me extremely surprised. I did not know Garland would take this. And then, Baylor Blakespear starts off with saying, I played this one in my head many times. I don't see a way that Fiery Hand doesn't beat Tyrell. Yeah, I completely kind of agree. And then said Andreas Jacobson said, kind of weird how close this is. Garland runs laps around Victorian. I even think he beat him with his weaker hand. Like, it's funny of how people see this fight so drastically different. There are people who are like, what do you mean? Victorian's just gonna ice him. It's not even close. And then people are like, yeah, Garland's gonna run laps around him. It's not even close. Like, it's wow. It's so funny of how people are really divided on this. Like they're looking at two different matches. And then at Victorian Greyjoy wins, or sorry, Rebel Lord Terrence says Victorian Greyjoy wins no matter how this poll turns out. Are you saying because he made it this far? I thought Victorian was winning this bracket. Like I thought it was gonna be him against Barristan Selmy. I think if I do these tournaments for 10 years and remove the winner each time, I think eventually Victorian wins. Like that's in my eyes, I think Victorian can win this tournament eventually. One day, 1 year, once like Barristan's out, Bobby B's out, and depending on how the bracket falls, I think he could. But apparently I'm in the minority there because people like their Garland Tyrell. And then Brainy said, plot twist. It's not Garland. It's Tubert Siri wearing Garland's armor back from the dead looking for revenge. Da, da, da. Catch the sword. Ah. All right. Moving on. I was just really surprised. Yeah. So yeah, Marty said Garland is apparently better than his brother Loras, who gets name checked as being top 10. Yeah, and yeah, a lot of people put Garland that high. I was just surprised because I put Victorian higher. But you know, that's me. That's just me. So yeah, this is what we're looking at. So Barristan Selmy versus Garland Tyrell. Oh wow, no, I don't think anyone would have seen. I didn't see that coming. I know that. So yeah, that's gonna be a fun finals for that one. All right, now we're getting into the monster. Kind of like my face right now. All right, Gregor Clegane versus Clayton Suggs, and then I didn't move him down, but Maegor the Cruel versus Godfrey Foring, the Giant Slayer. This is that example of that, like Clayton Suggs had a very easy side. Like Clayton Suggs beats Ramsay Bolton, not hard. Biter, for some reason, loses to Amory Lorch, which I think is one of the worst things that's happened in this tournament. It's right up there where I am losing. And yeah, Amory Lorch had no business being in round 2. Clayton Suggs probably had no business being in round 2. And then he just happened to get probably the weakest fighter we had in the entire tournament, in my opinion, which is Amory Lorch, one of them. And yeah, Clayton is the worst person in round 3. And who does he go up against? The Mountain. So yeah, 95-5. Whoever those 5% are who voted Clayton, are you goofing? Are you goofing? Are you goofing out a little bit? You guys goofing over there? You gotta be goofing.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Who voted Clayton? All right. I'm looking no shady shies here. All right. Lawrence Reed just says he always just puts a castle and a black heart. And then Grant Campbell said, Pinky gonna burn. Yeah, we're having a barbecue today. And then Universe Finest said, as a rule, if I don't know you, you probably can't be the Mountain. And then I commented, you don't know Clayton Suggs, the rightful heir of the Iron Throne? He is. Look it up. All right, maybe Eric Unami voted for him because he said Clayton is my boy. Maybe. Like Clayton ain't my boy, but I love Clayton Suggs. So I'm not hanging out with him. He's a nasty customer. He's a nasty bit of business. But I wouldn't vote for him over the Mountain. And then Irish Potato Thief said, does Clayton get wildfire perchance? No. No, he does not. Yeah. It's pretty good. All right. Let's move on to Maegor the Cruel versus Godfrey Giant Slayer Faring. What? Yeah. You guys know the Tucker's on his way.
You got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah, for real. I really like, we all knew when we were looking at this from like last week that it was like, or even at the beginning, we were like, oh, so Maegor's going to be on this side and Gregor Clegane's going to be on this side. And how brutal is their paths going to be? Well, it turns out their paths were pretty freaking brutal. Like they just ate through, Maegor ate through Rorge. He ate through Kago Corpse Killer. Then ate through Godfrey Faring. Gregor, I think it was close against the Smiling Knight, but I'm not sure. And I know he just devoured the Weeper and then devoured Clayton Suggs. So yeah, they both just cut a super bloody path towards each other. And yeah, Maegor 92%, Godfrey 8%. And then Stefan Grosh said Maegor would smoke him. Yeah, absolutely. Rebel Lord Terran said Maegor, obviously, but then again, there are a couple of turds in the punch bowl who voted for him, and you know who. Yeah, no, just like Clayton Suggs, you guys goofing on me? Why are you voting Godfrey Faring? All right. Giant Slayer is a fraud, is what JDS said, and yeah, completely agree. Everett T said another snack for Balerion. I love that. That's good. Yeah, and then Lazy Boy said the only person strong enough to kill Maegor is Maegor. So then I said, do you think he'll move through Gregor easily enough? And then Lazy Boy said, he said Blackfyre, I believe the mountain will be cut down. So yeah, he thinks he's calling it already that Maegor is gonna ease through the mountain when it's that match. And then Shet, I already said your name once and now I messed it up. Oh, it's just Ben B. What's up, Ben B? Maegor was a beast amongst the top fighters of the Targaryen family, basically a silver-haired Robert Baratheon. And then Mikbar said, yep, literally prime Robert virgin. Just imagine he can win 7 swordsmen in a trial by combat. And I said, it wasn't just, he didn't beat 7 swordsmen, okay? He had Guy Lawson, one of my favorite characters, Dick Bean, Lucifer Massey, Bram of a Black Hole. These are amazing fighters. Notice how none of them are on my list. Maybe next year. Should I put Dick Bean and Guy the Glutton into the tourney last year? Or next year? I think I should. All right, yeah. To nobody's surprise, we have Gregory Clegane versus Maegor Zrule in the Monsters final. So moving on to big guys and gals. No gals left anymore. We got the Great Jon versus Sandok the Shadow. Oh man, I was nervous going into that one. And then Duncan the Tall versus Lyle Crakehall. These are such good matches. These are great matches. And I have Sandok winning the tournament. The entire tournament. I have Sandok winning. Do I think it's going to happen? I don't know. But it's what I want. It's what I wanted last year. And Greyjon was like, let's look. Sandok already moved through Strong Belwas, which is hardcore, and then Archibald Ironwood, which isn't. But it's like the Greyjon's like his first like, and he won. He won. We're good. Greyjon lost. He only had 37%. Sandok the Shadow had 63%. And then Mikey Boy said, Stan mother effing Doc. Yeah. And then Grant Campbell said, I'm calling it Sandok to win. And I said, for the match or the bracket or the entire tournament. And he said, if the gods are good and non-biased, he will win. And I'm assuming he meant the entire tournament. He didn't actually answer what I asked. But you're cool, Grant Campbell. Tyler Chapman said Sandok killed a wyvern and bears and lions with stones from the ground in the pit. That's what he's talking about. He came out with injury without injury. Yeah, he came out with injury. He said it should be without injury in an 8v1 fight, one of which was a member of the Kingsguard. Great Jon just has size. I think Great Jon's got more than just size, but he is definitely size. And so Sandok. Kevin Nutzling said Sandok is one of the most famous pit fighters in history, wields a Valyrian steel, a giant Valyrian steel sword, and is strong enough to be considered on Great Jon's level. I don't think that Great Jon has anything that Sandok hasn't seen or survived before. Yeah, he killed a wyvern with nothing. According to the legends. I'm dubious on that one. I forgot my name said, come on, guys, this is the Great Jon. Vote with your heart for once. No, Sandok is voting. You might vote for your heart and vote for Great Jon, but voting for my heart is voting for Sandok because I want Sandok to win the entire tournament. I do. That's my heart. That's where my heart is. Can I say this guy's name? Sir Balls Deep of House Manthra. What is that name? Oh my god. If I got demonetized, you owe me the $1 I would make from this video. All right. Pretty sure only one. Okay. I'm pretty sure the only one that would realistically challenge Sandok is Maegor, based on the information we have. You're not wrong. And are they going against each other in the playoffs? No, they're not. It would be the finals if they win against each other. Which, dude, Sandok Maegor as a finals, very, very possible. I don't see that like that. That very well can happen. So yeah. So let's get back to Sandok. Mr. Zora said, I was about to freak out, and then I saw I was only the third person to vote. Yeah, dude, that happens to me on my own tournaments where I'm like, oh, the tournament dropped. It's like 7:01. Oh, okay. I like click and I'm like, 100%. Oh, it's just me. Well, you guys don't. I'm allowed to vote on my own thing. I only get one vote. Duncan the Tall, 93% to Lyle Strongbor Cray Call. Oh my god.
You got knocked the fuck out.
The fact that Strongbor is ever tuckered. Now I was talking about statements earlier, but like Barristan Bold beating Corn half-hand so handily, like getting a tucker on half-hand. Duncan the Tall getting a tucker on Strongbor. That's a statement. That is a statement. Now I'm dubious. I really am. I don't think that the way this community votes, that Sandok the Shadow is going to get past Duncan the Tall. I don't think. Man, the way that your guys' love for Duncan, and I'm not saying you're wrong for loving Duncan. I am not. I'm just stating that love is there, and I'm not sure if we can get past it. JC Bear said, Dunk the Lunk, thick as a castle wall. Sir Duncan will take the day. Big Buddy 1 said, the boar gets hunted by the tall. There's then the talk, if it's based on, if this is based on Duncan that we've read so far, the strong boar would win. Duncan doesn't seem as skilled in the books, but if it's Sir Duncan later on, it could go either way. This is from Neon Akira? Jake Kim. That's a much easier name. Jake Kim. And then then there was some pushback, like tired of the narrative that Dunk during the books isn't super skilled. I mean, I think that he is skilled. Like if we ended the books now and Dunk never goes on to be legendary and fight in the Blackfyre rebellions and beat Lionel Baratheon, I think that he would do okay in this tournament. But I don't think the way that he fought against Inchfield or Long Inch or anything like that makes him Barristan Selmy level, right? Like he's fine. So calling him not very skilled, there's a level to that. And I think that Dunk, as of Mystery Night, isn't S tier where he is now. And I think that's the point most people are trying to make, is not that he is not unskilled during his 3 novellas that are currently out. It's that he's not holy crap Duncan the Tall, because we know what he goes on to do later on. For the most part, we heard of it, right? We haven't seen it yet. And then H Game said, this is Sir Duncan propaganda at its finest. Strongbor wrecks him. Bro, what the hell? And then and then Lazy Boy commented on that saying, people like to think Dunk is invincible, and he is kind of written that way. And then Big Buddy said, give me the name of your dealer because I want what you're smoking. Hey, he's allowed to have his opinion, all right? HS Game, let's get your actual name, HS Game. Oh, it is just HS Game. You're allowed to think that it's propaganda. And also, this is Stromborg. He didn't walk through freaking Amory Lorch. He walked through Lyle Crakehall, who has every business in the world to be in the part of the bracket and make it all the way to the third round. Like, he completely deserves that. Who did he go up against? Was it pushovers? He beat Otho Bracken, which is nuts, and then our Hosting Frey was definitely easier. But, like, come on, he ain't no pushover. Granted, Sir Duncan the Tall beat Small John Umber and then Brienne. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just can't believe he got tuckered. I knew he was going to lose, but I didn't think he was going to get tuckered. He's all tuckered out. Irish Potato Thief said a boar may beat Robert Baratheon, but not my Duncan. Yeah, you guys get it? Okay, so set me up for a big guys and gals bracket. We got Sandok the Shadow versus Sir Duncan the Tall. This is my most anticipated match of this next round, and I am terrified that Sandok loses. So I really want him to win. But we'll see. Let's see where the votes go. Yep, we'll see where the votes go. All right, let's get into Knights of Summer and Tourneys. And yeah, starting off with Loras Tyrell. Where is he? There he is. The Knight of Flewers versus Vardis Egan, and then Robar Royce versus Humphrey Harding. So I really wanted this to not go the way it was very obviously going to go, which was going to be Loras winning and the Robar winning. I really didn't want that because I didn't want a book rematch, and it looks like I'm getting a bunch. I asked my channel yesterday is if I can switch a couple of these finals up so this rematch doesn't happen, and then the rematch later in random doesn't happen. And last I checked, I think it was 51% said do that, switch it up. But there really wasn't a lot of votes. I think it was under 100 votes. It was only 51%. I just don't think that's a big enough sample size for me to change my entire bracket. So I'm going to keep it as of now. I'm going to keep it the way it is, which sucks. So I told you guys that the whole time to say, I really wanted Vardis Egan to just have the upset of the century or Humphrey Harding to have the upset of the century. And did I get those things? Well, no. Loras beat Vardis 88-12. And then let's get your name. IFL Discovery said Vardis is a veteran and not Loras is not experienced and never went to war. Well, he does within the parameters of the book. So I think a lot of people would consider this after Battle of Blackwater Loras, right? So he does fight in the war. And then Rebel Lord Terran just said the flower. HCLW said, well, I think Loras and many of Tyrell's in general are overrated. Loras takes this smoothly. Loras is George Preachel? George Preachel said Loras is considered the next coming of Jaime. Enough said. Yeah, no, a lot of people like kind of push back on that. There was a little bit of a back and forth, which I'm not going to get into. Everett T said for this fight, I have to go with Loras. Sir Vardis is a good fighter, but the Knight of Flowers is simply more talented. He's more talented, absolutely. So yeah, I can't disagree with it. I just didn't want it to happen. And then I was like, Humphrey Harding, get in there, buddy. Make it that this isn't a book rematch. Make it that Robar Royce doesn't make it to the semifinals just for everyone to go, oh, this already happened. Read the books, noobs. And like, prevent that, Humphrey. Prevent it for me. And he didn't. He tried. Look how hard he tried. 40%. He tried so hard. Oh, man. He really gave it his all. And, I honestly think he could have. I think Harding is a complete badass. Like, he gets completely messed up, wins like whatever it is, 10 plus jousts in a row at Ashford, and it's literally goes into a trial by combat strapped onto his horse because his leg is like shattered. That's hardcore, man. And yeah, Universe Finance said, not gonna lie, it would be a good fight, but I'm gonna give it to Humphrey, and I'm not gonna say it's wrong that people chose Robar here, though. Juliana Roxas, rockin' name. Said probably one of the closer ones. Royce held off at least 3 dudes at once to save Kat and Brienne in one of the most untalked about heroic acts. Yeah, I love that scene. My Em Coy video I did not too long ago, I really got into that fight or that scene a lot more, and it's a really good scene. Very underrated. Robar Royce just said, or Rebel Lord Terran just said, Royce. Divine Augustus, how's it going, man? I haven't seen you for a while. He said Humphrey is a warrior to the core, shattered leg by a falling horse, and he still has himself propped up to fight and be part of a trial by 7. Yeah, he's a warrior. I'm a warrior. Yeah. See what happens, Carla? And then Bob Roberts said, I was really hoping for an upset here and Humphrey to take it. Yeah, me too. Me too. Bob Robert. Your name's Bob. That's pretty funny. Oh man. All right. So yeah, this is what we got going on. So we got Loras Tyrell versus Robar Royce, something I really wanted to avoid. And it looks like there wasn't enough of you guys that wanted me to switch it up. And not enough people saw that poll, maybe. So here we are. We're having a book rematch. We're having 2 freaking book rematches for the semifinals of the brackets. Boo! All right. Moving on to Soiled Knights and Killers with Luca More Strong versus Riston Cole. If you know, you know. And then Daemon Blackfyre versus Sandor the Hound Clegane. This also could have been a book rematch. I was a little nervous about this one too. I was less nervous because I thought my boy Hound will take care of this for me. But before we get to that, let's get into Luca More versus I did a typo. I called him Riston. Oops. 4 days ago. Yeah. Luca More the Lusty comes in. So SS Fort. What's your name? Sassfort. Sassfort said it should be not close at all. Y'all have y'all some Daemon meat rider. Wait, am I? Oh, I'm on the wrong one. I clicked the Rogue Prince. Here we go. We'll get to that Daemon meat rider quotes later. Baylor Blakespear said, I don't know about Criston Cole, but his brother Riston seems like a fit. Yeah, I screwed up. Oh man, can you give me a nickname? Sir Balls Deep of Man Thrust. Can you can I call you something different? If anyone's in need of a nickname. Sir Balls said, as far as I remember, Criston's accomplishments were winning attorney, which isn't an advocation of anything really. Starting a war, doing absolutely a ridiculous scheme to use a twin to murder a woman, and command a few battles that got his king and King's Dragon off the table. And be super handsome. Most of that show stuff, but yeah. And then he's an interesting character, but don't get me wrong, in terms of just actually fighting and stuff. Unless I'm misremembering something, I've only read the books. And I don't watch that terrible show. Oh, never mind. He wasn't saying book stuff. Okay, or saying show stuff. He doesn't watch a terrible show. I don't see why everyone would consider him Arthur Dane or Selmy or Jaime level. He was just an ambitious landed knight with a vendetta against a woman who scorned him. And from the most small fighter and tactician in the series, and roughly looked up as one of the worst members of the Kingsguard. They're both remembered as some of the most messed up members of the Kingsguard, like most shamed members of the Kingsguard. But Sir Balls, manhood, man thrust, his very easily, brutally beating the crap out of Harwin Strong. That's they're 2 feats. I'll tell you right now, if you want to know what's up with Riston, go to Crispy Coulson. It's his not only beating Harwin Strong in a fight, but shattering his collarbone, like beating the crap out of him, and then beating the crap out of Daemon Targaryen, and then beating like one of Laenor Baratheon's lovers, like mostly the death, all in melees, right? And then maybe it killed him. Yeah, I think it killed him. Joffrey Longmouth. That's off the top of the head. Yeah, and then his spoilers, but how it ends when he like is pretty much cornered, and it's him versus a bunch of guys, and he's like, "I'm not going to surrender. Who's going to fight me?" And they're like, "No, we're just going to have you shot." Because even though there was a bunch of people, they're like, "We're not going to give you a chance. Like, you're probably going to kill all of us here. That doesn't make your cause right." And then they just hit him with arrows. Those are the feats that push Criston Cole over. That's it. If you were wondering, I was letting you know. That is what I think pushes a lot of people over. But everything you said is mostly true too. Does he have like crazy holy shit accomplishments? He's got some, but like, is he Arthur Dayne level? That's up to you. I don't think so. But I think what makes Criston dangerous, and I'm not going to harp on it too much because I said it in my last tournament, but he is a skilled turning knight who is a killer. And that's exactly about another guy we're about to talk to too. But a lot of times, killers are not as well trained, right? Like Bronn, right? Where they know how to kill. Or knights have honor and they won't fight that way. He is the worst of both worlds. He's the best of both worlds, right? He's not going to follow the rules, but he really knows the rules. And it makes him really dangerous. But yeah, and then Christopher, let's get your name. Christopher Vicnair said, Criston was an absolute monster in a fight. There aren't many in the Song of Ice and Fire lore that can stand up against him. See, that's what I'm getting at, Mr. Balls. Yeah, people like him. Let's go, Riston, is what that guy said. Zatrell said. Who are you? Just a guy. Criston wins, but Lucamore puts up a good fight. Yeah. Sorry, Lucamore strong. Oh, sorry. HCLW said, sorry, Lucamore strong when facing Proto Jamie. There's not much you can do. The only metric I can see Lucamore surpassing Cole is strength. But I would think Harwin strong passed him there too. So yeah. All right. Let's move. Let's keep on cruising. And yeah, moving over to Daemon the Rogue Prince versus Sandor the Hound. And this is who I was talking about with Criston, of somebody who's a trained fighter and also a killer. Like, he also doesn't give a shit about honor, right? He's the Hound. And also strong as fuck, right? The Hound's also big. A lot of people forget how big the Hound is. Where are we? Right here. So, yeah. Andrew Barnett said in House of Dragon, we saw Daemon being a badass, being tough, jostling opponent, a well-regarded swordsman during peacetime with his brothers. Long rule, we saw him kill the show creation crab feeder. I don't know if we saw him fight anybody else, and then we saw him chop a dude's head off with his Valyrian steel sword. Not much to go off in fighting Sandor. But I would agree, Sandor wins on equal terms. I said you're just like, that's all show stuff. So we can't really go off any of that. SS Fort, now back to this. Sass Fort said, this should be close at all. You all are Daemon meat riders. The Hound would easily curb stomp Daemon. Gotta agree. I can't believe it went 45-55. Sorry, I didn't say it. The Hound beat him 55-45. I was nervous that he was going to win, so we're going to have another book rematch. Oh, be my freaking nightmare. But I thought it was like going to be like 80-20. Like, I thought the Hound was going to stop. But no, he won. Bob Roberts said, oh yeah, because for a while Daemon had this. So Bob Roberts said, I'm glad we flipped this back to the Hound. I hope we keep it. I don't want a book rematch for the Soil Lads final. Me too, Bob. Completely agree. Let's get a name here. Geese Loaf of Dragonstone. Sorry. Gislio of Old Valyria said, this one was hard going with Sandor because he isn't angry enough to win. Yeah, very true. Unbowed, Unbent, Unbroken said, Daemon is a fraud. Name quality knight he beat, or name a quality knight he beat. Sandor regularly cuts down knights with ease. Yeah, I agree. Kevin Nutzling said it. Daemon is very good with the sword, cunning and utterly ruthless. But the only time we have confirmed of him beating a warrior, I'd say is on par with Sandor, would be when he lost to Criston. Yep. I think Sandor's brutality would eventually win here, though this is a fight that'll leave both men bloody. Let's get a name. Lance Henry said, to everyone saying the Hound, this must also imply that the Mountain, who we witnessed get smoked by Oberyn, would easily defeat Arthur Dayne based on size. I don't know what you're talking about. Just because somebody's bigger? But that's not the only metric he's going off of. The show had Daemon look weak, but he's described as being a better swordsman in Westeros during his time. He is very cunning and intelligent, and he would discover Sandor's fears of fire and use it to his advantage. I disagree. I don't think you're just going to notice in the middle of a fight, like, oh, you look like you don't like fire. Ooh. Like, I don't know what you're... yeah, that got a lot of pushback, and I'm not getting into all of it. But yeah. Yeah, especially since it got a little mean, which I don't like getting mean. I don't. Thank you for your comment, though. But I think you're a little misguided. And then Irish Potato Thief said, only a fool stands between a hound and some chickens. Huck McBride said, I am pleasantly surprised by this one. Sandor wins after a good fight. Yeah, I forgot my name said, I'm not saying that one. That's a bad word. JDS said this would be close. Rogue Prince. Oh, well, a little bias there. Your name's Rogue Prince. Said the Hound would be a great match, but Daemon wins a Dark Sister. He would have the advantage. Yeah, I think a lot of people love the whole Valyrian still giving advantage, but I think it's one of those times that it doesn't matter. All right, we've been harping on this one too much. We got one more bracket to get through, and I gotta go. Got stuff I gotta do, yo. I'm on vacation. Yeah. So, Criston Cole versus the Hound. This is also a phenomenal matchup. I'm really excited for that. So let's talk about random. So Khal Drogo versus Maegor Targaryen, and then Tormund Giantsbane versus Baelor Breakspear Targaryen. This is one that we all knew what it was going to look like before we even got to it. No one is surprised by the way this one went. I don't think anyone is. I'd be surprised if anyone's surprised. I'm surprised you're surprised. But yeah, Khal Drogo. So Khal Drogo versus Maekar. Khal Drogo lost with 24% against Maekar. The Anvil Targaryens at 76. And for the first time, there wasn't a lot of armor talk. And I'm really happy about that. So yeah. Irish Potato Thief said, I see your armor and raise you blunt force trauma to the head. Still voting. Wait. Did I click the wrong one? Still voting Baelor here. Why does he say he's still voting Baelor? Baelor's not in this fight. Sorry, Irish Potato Thief, but I'm confused. Then let's get to, Carlos Ortero said, I respect the Dothraki combat prowess, and I don't put much into armor, but the little advantage that armor provides, I think puts Maekar over the edge. I love that argument. Thank you for saying it that way. Call it an advantage. What got me so mad last time was people were like, armor, done, no talking, no argument. Let's not be nuanced at all about this. That's not what happened in this comment. Carlos said, it gives an advantage, and I think the advantage it gives right now pushes it. That's very different. But I put Maekar over the edge, but by 80-20, it should be like 60-40 at most, in my opinion. Drogon, yeah, and then Irish Potato Thief says that Khal Drogo doesn't lose because he doesn't have armor. He loses because he doesn't have a big enough rock to drop on Maekar. Absolutely. I think that I 100% think Maekar wins this. I just didn't want to hear the same argument stuff. And then I forgot my name was just goofing on me. I'm almost 100% sure. So just said Maekar has armor, so it's clear who wins, right, guys? And I commented, yeah, something like that. Yeah, the armor thing was a lot less brought up this time, which I'm really happy about. Maekar, and then Kevin Nutzling said Maekar was strong enough to match Drogo. Skilled and exceptional in war, Drogo will shatter his bones. Wait. Drogo will shatter his bones on the anvil. Okay, not of the anvil, on the anvil. And then Efren T said, Khal Drogo on horseback is a exceptional warrior, but on foot against a skilled warrior like Maegor. In armor with a huge spike, Drogo's odds of winning are not in his favor. Maegor should prevail. Prevail. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, a lot more actual less black and white arguments about the armor this time. I was really nervous about having Khal Drogo back up again because I was so annoyed last week. So sorry, guys. I'm sorry I get annoyed. All right, Tormund Giantsbane loses to Baelor Breakspear Targaryen. And let's get to that. Quickie. So yeah, Tormund only got 16%, Baelor 94. So yeah, no more Tuckers. Not a lot of comments here. Renee Barra said, yeah, this is like my least commented one. Baelor Breakspear sweep. And then Efren T said, in a one-on-one fight on even ground, Baelor wins, but he's far better equipped and trained than Tormund. And then Efren T says this. By the way, I reread Danny 8, A Game of Thrones. And Kotho wrenched his blade free from Koro, not Jorah. And Jorah was clad in chainmail, not plate armor. The Arak opened a nash in his mail. Yeah, he's just talking about he still gets it stuck in the hip. I don't know if you're just omitting that. It does get stuck in Jorah's hip. Am I misreading? I don't think I'm misreading that. I got to go back then, I guess. But yeah. Rebel Lord Terran said Baelor breaks it up in Torment. Okay, there you guys go. That's all of the matches. Let's end this before it gets an hour long. Khal Drogo lost to Maekar, so Maekar is going against his brother Baelor Breakspear, which of course is another book rematch. So I have 2 book rematches in the bracket finals. I'm sorry. I'm learning my lessons. I'm going to try to change it up for next year. But yeah, so we're looking pretty good. So the playoffs are going to be this, and the winners of the next matches are going to be in here. So Rebels is just Daemon Blackfyre versus Robert Baratheon will be going up against the winner of Aemon the Dragonite versus Cregan Stark. Holy crap. And then Barristan Selmy versus Garland Tyrell will be going up against the winner of Gregor Clegane versus Maegor the Cruel. Any of those 4, well, except for Garland. Barristan versus either of these 2, but it's going to be Barristan, Maegor, and holy shamola. That's going to be amazing once we get into the playoffs. All right, and then Big Guys and Gals winner. So either Sandok versus Duncan, I really hope it's Sandok, will be going up against Loras, Tyrell, or Robar Royce. It's probably one of the that might be the only easy one of the playoffs. And then winner of Criston Cole versus the Hound will be going up against Maekar versus Baelor, which most likely Maekar. So yeah, there you guys go. Thank you for being patient during my little mini vacation. And yeah, coming full force with more stuff on July 1st. Will be my first video I'm putting out. And I'll probably, who knows, I might do more of these. I'm staying on vacation. Peace. Keep voting. Thank you, everybody, for voting. I should have said that already. Thank you, everybody who's been voting and for commenting, even if I'm a little critical on some points being made. I really appreciate everything you guys are doing. It really makes this fun. Tournament season's great. Thank you, guys. Peace for real.